Fair enough.
Let's kick it off with quarterbacks. I think we all kind of know who's number one at quarterback, but I'd
Mac
love your thoughts.
Jones.
Sam Ellinger.
Ooh, Mac Jones.
Jamie Newman. But no.
I like Jamie.
Yeah. It's Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if you guys agree with me,
Who-
but I'm
Who's Trevor Lawrence, dude?
going to stick my neck out and say it's Trevor Lawrence who's the best quarterback.
It's a bold take, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for you.
I mean, there was talk for a minute that, Justin Fields could, he could supplant, but no, there's no way it's not Lawrence. I'm sorry. Fields might be a little bit more intriguing from a pure, I guess, ceiling.
Well, he ended up putting up. He had a nice 40.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised by his 40.
Athletic. I mean, not that Lawrence is unathletic, but so I think Fields is definitely probably a more intriguing prospect. But at the same time, you know exactly what you're going to get with Trevor Lawrence, and it's very good. So
there's not much bust potential with him for sure.
Yeah, I think Fields. I do think that Fields has solidified himself as a clear number 2, though. Like there were questions with Wilson. I mean, it kind of depends where he's picked. Depends on what the team's looking for. So there's some question with whether him or Wilson will be taken next. I think they're both, at least in my mind, Fields and Wilson could go 2 or 3 and switch around, but and then Lance and then Jones. I don't think Trey Lance is as good as Fields or Wilson. The thing I will say, kind of a backhanded compliment about Justin Fields, he is probably going to be the best Ohio State quarterback in the past 15 years in the NFL. So I know you got a lot of competition, a lot of really, really good competition in that spot. But
yeah, I actually have Trey Lance ahead of Zach Wilson. Actually, I have Zach Wilson at 4. I got Fields at 2, Trey Lance 3, Zach Wilson 4, and then I mean, you probably got to go with Mac Jones at 5, but I think he's not much more of a back. I think Kyle Trask has better starting potential long term.
So,
and I even think Kellen Mond would be a better backup than Mac Jones Wilson.
So I like Mac Jones. I think so. I think I was reading something about how a lot of these teams are viewing Mac Jones. He in the right system, with the breaks going properly for him, with everything falling into place, with the right guys around him, blah blah blah. He would have a chance to be very, very good. But at the same time, the chances of that happening are slim to none, right? He's not going to fall into a Tom Brady level situation where everything, you got the right coach, you got the right system, you got the right guys around you, and you can just be that. So yeah, does he have the ability to possibly be that? Because he's an extremely accurate passer. He's got a big body, he's got a good arm, not great, but good arm. So there's things that he's got going for him, but he's got to be compared to the 4 guys that we would probably put ahead of him from a physical talent standpoint. Mac Jones needs to be so far ahead of them from a cerebral standpoint to pan out better than those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then maybe better than a guy like Trask or a guy like Mond.
I was going to say the same thing. Mac Jones, hopefully he is just a huge student when it comes to learning from his offensive coordinator, head coach, depending on where he goes. Because, I don't just athleticism and what he's shown, with talent-wise. I thought he could have used another year. I can't remember if he was a senior, if he had to graduate. But I wouldn't have been surprised if he stuck another year just to, kind of to hone those skills, so then a good coach could take him to the moon, or way at least farther than where he is now. But yeah, I think I think he could go to, though, I could see him falling to New England and Bill Belichick just being all right, you're gonna start for a couple of years and you're gonna kind of suck, but if anybody can build a team around a quarterback, it's Bill Belichick, and kind of just have him wait, try not to make him lose confidence too much in a couple years. But yeah, if he goes to a team that's trying to look at a day one starter and hey, go win us some football games, I just don't see it happening unless he was a project.
Yeah, and I'm looking at NFL player comps for some of these top 5 guys, and Trevor Lawrence is compared to Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Trey Lance to Cam Newton. Justin Fields is actually compared to a mobile Dak Prescott.
I can see that.
Zach Wilson, a little more mobile of a Tony Romo, or what people are comping him as. And then Mac Jones was comped as, let me pull his up here.
So Zach Wilson could be Matt Stafford.
Perhaps, yeah. Mac Jones is compared to as Andy Dalton.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if you're looking at those comparisons, I mean, I don't necessarily like the comparisons. Trevor Lawrence makes sense with Andrew Luck because I think he and Luck were probably the two can't miss QB prospects of recent memory. That it's more or less you can't just don't mess it up.
Yeah.
I mean, in all actuality, Luck came in right away and was going to be a good quarterback. Yeah. NFL ready, most NFL ready we've seen by far. Fields, I could see Dak as that, him as that level of. I think he's got a ways to go as a passer, but he adds that added legs element. The Trey Lance is intriguing though, because I could see that being like going really well for the right team, and I could also see that just not ever really working out.
Yeah, I think he's got upside, but again, I think he's also. I think he's got the back. He's also got a backup. But to me, is that like really a bad floor either? I think his floor is a second string quarterback on a team. I don't think he's worse than that. I don't think he's a guy that's out of the league in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean the physical talent is there, certainly. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't love Zach Wilson because he's a little bit. I don't know. He's a little undersized. He's really accurate, but is he really,
It's also the competition again. BYU plays in an independent league. Who knows?
Trey Lance is the same way. So I don't know. BYU was pretty good at certain times, but I mean, you don't know. So I think it's pretty clear after those top four, there's a fall off. Unless, a guy like Matt Jones is so much better, from a mental standpoint than anybody else. And I'm not saying he's not. Maybe he is, but
I think Mac Jones is in his own class. I think like those top four are in obviously you have Trevor Lawrence at the very top. He's in his own class. And I think you have like Fields and Wilson and Lance kind of stay in their own little group. And then I think it's like a Mac Jones group. And then I think it's like a fall off to like Davis Mills and Jamie Newman, Kellen Mond.
Well, and if you look at like draft, like positional rankings, like I'm looking at Draft Network, they have like Trey Lance is out of those top four guys, Trey Lance is last in their rankings. He's 24, and then Trey Lance isn't until the third round. Like he's 66, and then there's another drop off to 107, Kellen Mond. Like so, it's definitely like those top four are first round quarterbacks. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is a clear, like he needs to be the number one pick. And then it kind of falls off to Mac Jones as kind of this anomaly, and then it's all project guys or guys you're taking a chance on or guys that could be backups for a year or two and then maybe start and learn how to be like a game manager.
That's what I think Kyle Trask is. And I compare Kyle Trask to my feelings on when Jarrett Stidham came out. Because I was pretty high on Jarrett Stidham overall, and I'm like, this guy's a guy that may have to sit for 2 to 3 years, but I think behind the right, especially when I found out he was in New England, but I'm like, he sits for a little bit. I think Belichick can turn him into a prodigy, and then obviously he's had his opportunities when Newton was out, and it hasn't really worked out. But I kind of view Trask as that same deal, a guy that has the potential to start if he's put in the right system and willing to learn. And he also has a potential where he comes in and throws like Nathan Peterson. So you never know what you're going to get, I think, with that. But so we can get deep on the quarterbacks, but let's move over